What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here with a highly anticipated review of the Delta Connexion CRJ-900 November 821 Sierra Kilo by Gemini Jets. This was a March 2021 release and one of the most anticipated models of all time. Now that I've had the models for about 6 months or so, I bought 6 of these total with what I received, and I now can put my thoughts together in a video and talk about the model. This model initially sold for about $42 MSRP, however the model very quickly sold out in about 20 hours or so, but the reality is because of the shortage issues that occurred with this model, more than likely this model actually sold out within about 30 minutes to an hour in reality of the available amount. And so a lot of people got sorted on their orders, including myself. I ordered 31 total and ended up getting 6. So yeah, that really did happen. The model, however, very quickly started being sold on eBay. Even the pre-order slots were being sold for $140 plus, which is ridiculous. And the model now currently sells here about 6 months later for about $140. So this will be consistently a very expensive models. However, there are some flaws that this plane does have, which we will talk about in the video. This model represents November 821 Sierra Kilo, which is a SkyWest CRJ-900ER. The aircraft was delivered in April 2007 to SkyWest in a special 35th anniversary paint scheme. By July 2011, the aircraft had been repainted into the standard Delta livery, which is what this model represents here. The aircraft is part of the SkyWest operational network and operates in a low density capacity, which means that this aircraft actually has one of the largest amount of legrooms available on any standard Delta aircraft, only being topped by a couple of wide-body aircraft, which is really impressive. Moving on to the model, this aircraft is possibly one of the most anticipated releases of all time in 1/400 scale. Therefore, the collectability for this model easily gets a 10 out of 10, as some of these pre-orders were going for $140 or more on eBay. However, the model is going to go up in value, and I think this model will become fairly expensive in the future. However, there are some things holding it back from its potential and from it being as great as the 2008 release, or the first release of this aircraft was. The packaging on this model is a fairly standard Gemini Jets packaging with the airplane, the logo, the Delta titles, and the typical regulatory things they had to put on the box. They have changed a few of the art designs from this one compared to 2008 one, as they've modernized the box design twice since they made that 2008 release, but overall it is still the same basic design but just slightly modernized. Now, as I mentioned, I bought 6 of these aircraft, and interestingly enough, the quality between these aircraft wasn't all the same. So I got 6 Delta Connexion CRJ-900s. The first 3 came from different retailers. One came from Panda Fox Toys, another came from DG Pilot in Minneapolis. This was my first time buying through them and a great experience with them. And then I bought a third one through a Canadian guy. That was actually the last of the 6 that I got. And all 3 of these planes have the horizontal stabilizer and landing gear issues. The next and final 3 I bought, these came up available on diecast jets, so I bought 3 of them. These though have an additional issue. All 3 of them are missing the nose gear. Now, thankfully, the store did refund me for this issue. They refunded me for 1 of the 3 planes for this problem, and so I really appreciate it, because having a missing nose gear door on the 3 planes really isn't acceptable. All 3 of them have this issue, and then one of them also is missing a horizontal stabilizer that came out. It was in the box, but it wasn't in, so I will have to re-glue that at some point, but it is an issue for the plane and something that does need to be fixed. And so those are the issues that came with the planes. It's interesting how these issues happen and how even the problems that this model has, which are many, aren't even super consistent. These aircraft had the typical paint fade issues which you see on Delta Airlines models. Now that I've talked about in a separate video on why I think that is, but I should mention that that is something I will have to take a point off for, because that shouldn't be an issue with model aircraft, but it seems like it is. Other than that though, the paint on this aircraft is basically perfectly accurate to the actual SkyWest CRJ900, in particular this one right here. So I will give paint a 9 out of 10. GemiJets did a really nice job replicating the Delta Connection SkyWest livery on this aircraft, showing all of the correct details. The baggage doors on the correct place, the markings on the correct place, everything looks correct for this aircraft. Now for aerials, this aircraft obviously isn't going to get the same score that some of the larger 140 aircraft have, as this doesn't have any antennas or SATCOM boxes on it, but it does have some nice markings such as where the escape hatches would be, the beacon and anti-collision lights, and things like that. So I'm going to give aerials a 7 out of 10, as at least they are printed on there where they should be. We are moving on to the section of the review that I know you are interested in, and that is the mold and the quality of the aircraft. We're going to talk about this in the same section, as I know that is 3 separate sections with the quality, mold, and accuracy, but it's important to talk about all 3 of them at the same time, because on this model they quite relate to each other. Now, this aircraft has 2 main issues that most of these have, and that is that the gear are placed in the incorrect location. In fact, it looks like at the factory they swapped them around so that the gears face inside it instead of outside like they're supposed to with the landing gear doors. And of course that is incorrect for the actual aircraft. And since this appears to be the issue of every single one of these, I've not seen anyone who's gotten them the correct way, and I haven't gotten them the correct way. I have to take off 2 points for that, and that will be taken off on the mold section. I also take a point off on the accuracy section on that, and 2 points off on the quality section, 1 for each landing gear. The horizontal stabilizers are also incorrectly positioned as well. These are positioned as showing as pointing upward, which is incorrect on the actual CRJ-900, which I'll show here. You can see with the horizontal stabilizers that not only do they not point up, they actually point downward, if anything, a little bit. Now they are basically level, but they do kind of aim downwards slightly, which is the way it's supposed to be. It's maybe about 3 or 4 degrees angle downwards, but this is incorrect. Therefore, I'll be taking off 1 point on the mold, 1 point on the accuracy, and 1 point on the quality for this. This is really something that's unacceptable, and GemiJets should not be allowing an entire batch of models to leave the factory this way. This is a significant amount of negligence on the GemiJets management team to allow aircraft like this to leave the factory with these major issues, and it's unacceptable, and GemiJets needs to fix these issues. On top of that, 3 CRJ-900s that I got from the GemiJets website, which was shipped through diecastjets.com, came with missing nose gear doors. This is another unacceptable item that cannot be seen on aircraft that you had delivered. Now fortunately, Diecastjets did take care of me, and they removed the price of one of the models, so they gave me about 30% discount on it when you factor in shipping. And so that was nice of them. They did a good job of that, but that's just not something that should be on an aircraft that you buy. You shouldn't be missing gear doors when you get an aircraft. That's an essential part of a 1400 model, and model aircraft in 1400 scale have been having that for quite some time. That is an unacceptable missing part of the aircraft. Therefore, I will be removing 1 point from the quality of this aircraft for that issue. So that will bring us to a mold score of 8 out of 10, as overall this mold is pretty good, but it has those 2 major issues. An accuracy score of 8 out of 10 for the same reason, and a quality score of 6 out of 10, which is one of the worst quality scores I've ever given to a model aircraft. This series of aircraft that GemiJets has made, the CRJ-900s, for both Delta Connection and American Eagle, is simply unacceptably awful, and GemiJets should be ashamed of themselves for even letting these aircraft roll out of the factory. Also, for the same reason, I will be removing 4 points from the gear section, as the gear do appear to be correctly detailed, and I will be removing 2 points for each gear being inexplicably located in the wrong location. That is a 6 out of 10 for the gear. On the wing and engine section, the wings on this model do appear to be very nicely molded and nicely detailed. However, the mold seam where the single piece wing mold connects to the fuselage has this really large seam on it and it's really flat and it's very noticeable. Now, this is a fairly old mold that Giant Jet is using, so I can understand this, but we are now in 2021 where there are a lot better molds and two-piece molds are a thing now, including a brand new JC Wings CRJ mold that could have been used. However, it was not used and instead we get the older mold, and therefore I do have to take off 1 point for the mold just being outdated and for the giant kind of ugly windward section on this model. But other than that, the winning engine detail is fairly good. I should also say that I do have to remove another point on the winning engine for one of my engines on one of my 6 models being misaligned, as you can see in this picture here. So therefore we have an 8 out of 10 for the winning engine section. Overall, it's pretty good, but it could be better. The features of this model are basically just rolling landing gear and a stand hole, which is perfectly acceptable, but it's nothing special, therefore it gets an 8 out of 10. So this is a highly desirable model of one of the most common aircraft that is found in the United States of America and in North America, and therefore a lot of people began it, including myself. I got 6 of them. However, when examined under the Citrus Caliber rating system, this model falls short in quite a few areas. Therefore, the model gets a 79 out of 100, which is actually one of the lowest scores I've ever given to a model aircraft. This puts this model down in 19th position, which is one of the lowest positions of any model aircraft that I have reviewed. This aircraft is not great in terms of the quality and many of the details on it. However, I am at least grateful that Giant Jet did make the aircraft. However, if they make it again, they need to improve these quality issues. This is unacceptable having models that are this expensive, $43 MSRP, shipping out from the factory like this. This cannot be happening, and Giant Jet could get themselves into legal issues if they keep doing this. However, I am glad we got the model, and those are my thoughts on the model. What are yours? Put them down in the comment section. I personally am very happy that I got them, although it has several flaws that I will be obviously permanently disappointed with, but at least I have 6 additional CRJ900s to my fleet. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.